uncomfortable licking people's faces. Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be filming a video and it's a slightly different one. There is no beauty or style or anything in this video. This is about my puppy Nala. In case you didn't know, I have a very tiny cute little dog. I get asked questions on her quite a lot, so I thought that I would do a video today just to explain a few things and answer a lot of your questions. Unfortunately, we can't really be in the shot together too much because I'm not sure if it's going to happen now, but when I put myself and her in the shot, because we are different colours, I go really white. So this is my puppy. Say hi. Say hi. Say it. Yeah, this is my puppy Nala. She is a Pomchi, which is a Pomeranian Chihuahua cross. Oh god, just looking at my face, go away. So yeah, she's a Pomeranian Chihuahua cross and I just adore her. So I'm just going to answer a few of your questions on her. Stop licking my arm! So yeah, like I said, she's a Pomchi and lots of you have asked why we chose that breed, and Josh and I have been thinking of getting a dog for a very long time, and we'd had previous flats before we moved into this one where we couldn't have dogs, but we were constantly doing our research on what dog would be best for us. And whilst doing our research, we kind of decided that a small dog like a Chihuahua or a Pomeranian would be really good for us for the environment that we live in and our lifestyle. We just kind of did a lot of research and came to that conclusion. We were thinking of going along the lines of a Boston Terrier, French Bulldog kind of thing. We really wanted a crossbreed of some form just to make sure that they are slightly healthier. I know that Nala is kind of a mix of two designer breeds, so she's not that much healthier, but it's just having that cross is just, that was important for us. How old is she? Nala is around 6 months old. I'm too lazy to do the maths in my head, but she's coming up to 6 months old and we've had her for 4 or 5, I think it's coming up to 5 months. And lots of you have asked how big will she get, and I'm pretty sure at this moment in time she is kind of almost done. She's currently still developing a lot of her fur. A lot of her fur still seems to be very soft, and then there are some bits that are more coarse on her body, so we think that that's still kind of changing, and there's still bits of fur that are growing longer and longer and some that are staying shorter, so we're just kind of watching that at the moment. But in terms of size, she doesn't seem to be getting any, I was going to say bigger or smaller. She's not going to get smaller. Lots of you have asked why we chose the name Nala, and we were always quite set on getting a boy dog and hadn't really prepared too many girls' names, so when we decided to get Nala it was kind of like a, oh god, what do we name her kind of situation. And I had been thinking on the way home from work before we went to get her of just like a few names that I might like, and I really liked Nala after the character in The Lion King, and Josh really wasn't sold on it, but when we got her and we saw her, it just fitted perfectly with the way she looked. She just looked like a Nala. In hindsight, I would have loved to have called her Evie because now she does look like my favourite Pokemon, but she just didn't look like that when she was a puppy. That was the one we came up with. It was that or Fluffy in the end because me and Josh just couldn't decide. This next question is my favourite one, and one that I feel is quite important, and someone asked me, I think it was just kind of a jokey question, but how does it feel to be responsible for another life? And the only answer I can give is absolutely terrifying, if I'm honest. When I first got her, it was just like, oh my god, what if you don't like me? What if I lose you? And that is one of the things. I'm terrified of her getting out of her harness and running away or getting lost. That I can't deal. Lots of you have asked where we got Nala from and why we didn't choose to get a rescue dog. We did look at the potential of getting a rescue dog, but unfortunately what was available to us for our living situation and our lifestyle, it just wasn't right. Although we didn't like the idea of going to a breeder, that was something that we did have to look at in the end. We didn't actually end up going to someone who breeds Pomchis for a living. Nala was kind of like an accidental puppy, so she's not from a puppy farm or anything like that, which is what we really liked about her. We just found a woman who had a Chihuahua and her daughter had a Pomeranian, and they'd been staying together for a little bit, and you know, stuff happened, and then they ended up with a litter of Pomchis, just a tiny little litter. I think there were 3 of them. There was 1 boy and 2 girls, and it was just kind of one of those situations where the perfect opportunity came along. To be honest, I think everyone is going to have their own opinions on what we did, but you know, at the end of the day, we did what we thought was best. So we also get questions on kind of Nala's training, whether she came trained or anything like that. She didn't come from a proper breeder, so she was not trained in any way, shape or form. She was not even litter trained? What am I talking about? She wasn't even toilet trained, they just went wherever they liked. So the first thing we got down to doing was toilet training her, which just basically consisted of us putting a puppy pee mat down in the garden and going wee over and over again. We're actually really lucky and she's quite clever, and on her first day with us she did a wee in the garden, so we were like, yes, we're doing well. Aside from toilet training, we got straight into crate training, and we did have a few sleepless nights where she just screamed the whole night, and I found it really hard to function at work the next day. But after that she just got less and less. Sometimes she'd cry for about an hour when we put her in her crate and then she'd be fine. Sometimes she'd cry in the morning. Now she just does not cry at all. So what else did we train her to do? We have trained her obviously to go to the toilet, to go in her crate. We actually can tap the crate and she will just walk into it, which is something I love doing. Trained her to sit, down, obviously to come to us, stay, paw, high five and dance. She's been really quite easy to train. Some things take literally like less than an hour to teach her, and some have just taken kind of like 2 or 3. And we found the most important thing was obviously positive reinforcement with all of her training. We don't ever tell her off, even when she used to wee inside when she was a puppy. We didn't tell her off, we just didn't acknowledge the fact that she had done it. We didn't make a big deal, because otherwise if you make a big deal and scare puppies, they will do things out of your sight, and then you don't know that they've weed somewhere and you can just smell it, which is awful. Then obviously we just feed her a little bit of dog food every time she does something good. We didn't want to feed her like treats, because some treats can be really kind of full of things that you don't really want to be feeding a dog really regularly. And if you're doing like paw and it's taking them ages to get to learn it, it's like you're filling them up with these treats that aren't massively good for them. So we just kind of feed her kibble and it kind of just comes out of her dinner bowl, and that's how we work that. How did you find looking after a puppy and working? Not easy, I'm not gonna lie. We were quite fortunate in the fact that where we moved to was literally seconds away from my work. So me and Josh had different working schedules. So he would leave, I would leave for work, he would leave for work later, I would come back a couple of hours later, check that she was okay, spend some time with her, go back to work. Josh would come home from work, and then I would come home and all of that. So she wasn't really on her own for very long, but I do prefer being at home with her all the time now. We're currently playing tug of war. What is the next question? Will she have puppies? Straight up no. The way I feel about that is the way parents probably feel about their children turning 16. How often do we walk her? This can be anything between 1 and 3 times a day, depending on how busy we are. I like to walk her as much as possible, and my New Year's resolution is to get her into 3 walks a day. How often do we give her a bath is another frequently asked question. We basically just give her a bath whenever she jumps in a big pile of mud, which is something she likes to do quite regularly at the moment when I take her on a run. Does she molt is one question. So does she lose the hair? Does she lose her hair? Does she lose her fur? She doesn't lose any fur at the moment. We don't know if this will change once she's kind of fully grown. I've noticed that her hair on her bum is getting really long, so I don't know if that will molt at all, but so far I don't have any hair on my black clothes. She's literally perfect. Does she have any bad habits? She's learnt to bark recently. For the first like 4 months of her life she didn't make a sound, and now she's really into barking at any sound. The next one's not necessarily a bad habit, but in her temperament she is quite anxious, quite nervy. She gets scared by anything that has wheels, so trucks, cars, bikes, scooters, prams, trolleys, anything that has wheels she absolutely hates, and she doesn't bark at it. Her sister does the same and has the same kind of anxiety, but she barks at it. But Nala actually just will stop dead in her tracks. She won't move, and literally just doesn't want to move, or she'll try and run the other way, she'll try and bolt into the road. It's kind of quite scary, and we have to be quite on the ball when we're walking her. But it has got slightly better, and we're hoping that the older she gets, because she is only like 6 months old, we're hoping that the older she gets the more she'll be like meh. But yeah, at the moment she's quite a nervous puppy, but her good habits definitely outweigh her bad. She's very gentle and not overly boisterous, which is one of the reasons that we loved her when we first met her. My mum's best friend actually has Nala's sister, who is called Jazz, and she's lovely. She's much more excitable though. When we saw her when she was a puppy, she was so cute, but really up in your face, quite like barky for the fact that she was a puppy. And then we just had like this tiny little one that was Nala, wiggling in and out of all of these puppies, like rough and tumbling, and she was just perfect. She was really gentle, very quiet, wasn't overly excitable, wasn't really clingy and wanted to sit on us, and those were the things that we were kind of looking for, was a dog that's quite independent and isn't like the perfect time when I'm talking about her best qualities is for her to go nuts and be a little munchkin, isn't it? When she's not being a pain, and squeaking things at my feet. She's very quiet, just very gentle, and those were the things that we really wanted in a dog, especially because we have family with young children. We wanted to make sure that they had the best experience with her that they could. She's also very cute and very cuddly. She does this thing which I think is the cutest thing ever, where I'm sure lots of dogs do it, but she does like this and she pulls her ear down and like paws her face, which is just the most adorable thing. She also does a lot of laying on her back and her ears flop back, and she just looks so cute. Her little tail as well is something that I am absolutely obsessed with. When she walks along, when we take her for a walk, it's just like this, and it's so like squirrel like, and she actually does look like the squirrel from Ice Age if you pull her ears back. Yeah, you can just see her hiding nuts. So that is it for my pup date. I hope you guys liked this. Let me know if you have any more questions on Nala in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer as many as I can. Nala, do you want to say bye? Bye guys! Bye! That is it for my video today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye! P.S. forgot to say, Nala also has an Instagram now. Lots of you have asked about it, and after initially saying no, I got really bored one day and I just made her an Instagram. Her Instagram name is Nala with an extra A at the end, gram, so Nalagram. I will put it on the screen and in the description box below. Go and give her a little follow because, you know, she loves Instagramming things and having a chat with you guys.